Hey guys, what's going on? My name is JJ Hernandez. I am currently the sales coach over at Monetise, Iman Gadzhi's company. And now for a little context as to why the fuck you should listen to me. I was also a sales manager for Iman prior at Educate.io, where I was training and managing the sales team. I've also worked with Alex Schmozy over at Gym Launch. In my entirety of my career, my time being in sales, I've closed just over 10 million revenue for these offers. Now, currently, I run a sales training and placement firm where we train reps and place reps on offers just like these, which is actually ironically called Sales.io. So on this coaching call that we're going over today, I was getting some solid questions from Monetise, and I knew that it would be valuable for you guys over here as well on YouTube. So I wanted to make sure I could share this with you guys. And that being said, let's dive into it. Good to meet everybody. Happy Wednesday. If you guys don't know who I am, my name is JJ Hernandez. I've been in the sales space about 7 years now. I've worked with Alex Schmozy over at Gym Launch. I've worked with Iman for about 2 years almost as a closer, sales manager. And then now I run my own community, teach sales, have a bunch of clients, work with people that we all know and see on the internet, scale teams, whatever you want to say. So good to meet all you guys and ladies who are here. I typically would come here with a lesson, but since I wanted to see if there's a different demographic and understand the demographic of the people who do come here, I want to get a really good feeling for you guys, where you're at in sales, what you're doing, and how I can be most beneficial for all you guys, because everybody has their own problems, their own issues, and what they're doing, what they're struggling with in sales. So in the chat, write a 1 if you're a closer, write a 2 if you're a setter, and then write a 3 if you're nothing. And let me know what you are if you're nothing. Like, are you unemployed? Are you an agency owner? Are you a copywriter? Like, just let me know all those details. So 1, 2, or 3. Wow. A lot of you guys are 1 and 2. That's kind of crazy. Unexpected. Okay, that's a good thing. 3 about to start cold calling. Agency owner. Okay. Well, good news too. I used to run my own agency as well before all the sales stuff. I love it. Okay, well, what I'll do is, since you guys do have your cameras on, whoever does, so Patrick, Muhammad, Antonio, Philip, Ubaid, and then tell me how to pronounce your name. I don't want to mispronounce it.
You can call it Blaze.
What is it?
Blaze. You can call me
Blaze?
Yeah, it's Blaze.
Blaze, I love that badass name. And Alan now. Since you guys do have your cameras on, I'll prioritize you guys first. What are you guys struggling with? Blaze, I'll start with you. You let me know what you're struggling with.
Yeah, so I have a question, if that's okay.
Sure, please.
First of all, nice to meet you, JJ.
Same here.
I had a weird experience with a strange prospect. The thing started with a cold call, and I called this guy, and he was into things, and we scheduled the meeting and everything, and then he just hung up out of nowhere when I was going to send him the invitation. And I tried to call him back several times, nothing. And I was like, okay, I sent him the invitation, so it might be okay. But I sent him an email as well with a value, some quick fixes he can do on his website, and said that please get back to me if the meeting is still okay. And nothing. I called him back on the day of the meeting, and he didn't know what I was talking about. But he said yes again. So I said, okay, we have this meeting in 1 hour. And then I jumped on the meeting, and he wasn't there, obviously. After 5 minutes, I called him again, that I'm waiting for you in the meeting room. And he was like, okay, I'm going. Nothing. 10 minutes later, I called him back. He didn't pick up, and tried to call him 2 times, but nothing. So I don't know if this kind of prospect worth my time and energy to continue calling them, or just forget about it.
Okay, I'm going to put that in the notes here, Blaze, just because that's a fundamental issue, so I can tell you what we can do there as well. That's not a big deal. Okay, that's fine. Cool. We'll go over that. Because that is technically a struggle in a way. Like if it's a unique, you might feel like it's a unique scenario, but that I'm sure plenty of other people struggle with like that disrespect of time. We'll go over that, Blaze. Okay, so I'll write that down here, and then we'll bring that up. Mohammed, go ahead.
Yo, JJ, how you doing, man?
Amazing. How are you?
Doing good, man. So it's a bit of a weird question because I have a client, and the deal was, I was gonna do a website for him, and then after you pay half, like in installments essentially, and the other half when it was done. The website's done. I transferred it over to him, but I never had any contracts in place. I only had an NDA, and he paid the first two before sending the website over. After I sent it over, he hasn't paid anything. And
Oof.
I was going to leave it, but I was looking back at the invoices. I think it's about $2,500, and it's just he's not really responding. So I know I can get him on a meeting. He gave me his meeting link, so I can show up on a call and then just address it like that. But what would be the best way to address it? Because I don't have any contracts in place, and the website's already in his hands. It's done, completed.
I've definitely been there as well. When I had my agency, I ran it before working with Hermosi. I mean, it's working with gym owners, man. It's like they put all their energy into like their body and fitness and all this stuff, and then like they don't care for their business as much. It's just fitness, body, that's it. And it seemed like a lot of these things they kind of were like really wishy-washy with when it came to like payment and like finishing out payment plans. One, it should be a lesson learned, right? Put contracts and agreements in place, that's for sure, by all means. Number two, there's kind of two ways you go about it. You either form it where it's and this is actually a form of sales in a way, right? Because you need to sell him to be able to pay you. And so it's like putting it in his best interest to do it, right? So, I mean, you don't want to go to, I'm not saying you can't or you won't, but you can threat suing. I mean, not that you have much of a ground to stand on, but threatening it alone, like the idea of like him being in trouble or not being, whatever it is, or even just like, I mean, do you own the website or is it in his name? Like, how'd you set that up?
So I created a website and then I transferred it into his Webflow account.
Okay.
But I do have access to it.
Yeah.
So like if I wanted to go and sort of erase everything, I could.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm not saying to be coming with like, bad cop, good cop kind of perspective, but more or less like, it's the truth. Like you can push one button and end his whole entire business if you're not end his business, but end his website if you really wanted to. But I would come in and like one level with him, acknowledge, right, whatever he's being shady and being all like wishy-washy about it. Best thing to do is get him on a call, number one, but then in there, like make it in his best interest to be able to do it. Like that's one thing you can subtly say. I've said this to like even my own clients where I'm like, look, man, I'm not saying I would, but I could totally click a button and end the business completely. But that's not what I want to do here. Let's figure out how we can come to an agreement to make sure this makes sense, right? And I'm not saying to say those words exactly, but granted, like you call this, it's a frame control thing. It's called moral authority. You come in where it's like, hey man, like this was our agreement, this is what I was supposed to do, and I delivered it. Like, are you dissatisfied? Is it this, is that? So you can acknowledge what his issue is, whatever it is, fix it, and then get compensated, right? Level, that's what I mean by like coming to him with like his best interest, meaning like, okay, I'm looking out for you, man. If you're not happy, if you're not this, you're not that, I'll fix it, make it happen. And then at that point, talk about compensation. Don't lead with just compensation alone. That's in your best interest. Look in his best interest. And then if it gets to that point, then you go a little bad cop where it's like, well, hey man, I could click a button and delete this right now if I really wanted to. I'm not saying just like that, but like, and again, from an authority standpoint, right, where it's like, well, look, I understand, like if there's nothing I could do to fix this, like at the end of the day, man, this was the agreement that we set up, and if you're not willing to do it, I mean, like at the end of the day, I'm not saying I am, but I could delete this website if I really wanted to. So at the end of the day, man, like how can we come to an agreement for this to make sense? We agreed on this. Like, what do you need from me in order to make this work? Do you need me to do a payment plan for the last 2 payments, whatever it is? Like, let me know what I need to do in order to make that work for you. But you are entitled. I am entitled to the payment. Like, that's it. Like, he should feel right by that at the end of the day. But it is a lesson, though, Mohammed. By all means, like, have contracts, have agreements in place for sure.
Yep.
So,
thanks.
Yep. Philip, go ahead.
Hi, JJ. Nice to meet you. So basically, what I've been struggling with is gatekeepers. 97% of my cold calls are gatekeepers, contractors in the US, and they never let me through. They don't give me the phone number of the owner. They say they speak on their behalf, say they're not interested. Give me some bullshit excuse. I cannot get a conversation with them or get to the owner in almost all of my cold calls.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I'll write that down. I'll make sure I'm going to go in order here, Philip. So I appreciate you giving that feedback. Anybody else? Patrick, Oliver, Ubaid, Alan, Antonio. Any other struggles you guys have? And then anybody else who doesn't have the camera on, just feel free to type it out in the chat or just raise your hand if you want to go next. But anything at all, guys, on your side that you're struggling with? Cool. Okay. That's fine. Awesome. Yeah. And I mean, also just to give you guys context again, like I want to see what you guys consider yourselves right now. Like, do you guys consider yourselves more closers because you guys are doing more closing calls for yourself in your agency and setting calls to yourself? Do you consider yourself more of a setter because you're cold calling all day and doing things like that? Or do you consider yourself an agency owner? Like, I'd like to understand what you guys label yourselves as. Because at the end of the day, like I've spoke to a bunch of guys that are just like, oh, I'm more of like a coach. Like they run their businesses and they're a coach within their business. They're not really anybody special. They're not a business owner. They're not really running their company. They're in their company, not working on their company. So I really try to understand how you guys perceive yourselves is really, really important, right? Because you have to sell yourself on the idea that you are an agency owner running a business and running a company. If you don't believe that just yet, and you feel like you're more of a setter just for yourself or a closer just for yourself, and that's all you are, right? So it's understanding that perception. Now, going over your question here, Blaze. So you're telling me, I just want to make sure I understand. He came in one call, left in the middle of the call, and then you tried to get him back on later, and then he was just playing around with your time.
I mean, he said yes to the meeting, and when I was going to send him on the call, he just hung up out of nowhere. I mean, there was some weird noises. I don't know what was that. Maybe he was driving or not, I don't know. Mm-hmm. But then he didn't call me back, didn't text me, like nothing.
Yeah. So one of the biggest things I'll tell you, this is a rule that I live and stand by. If your calls are 1 hour long and they don't show up within the first 5 minutes, right? Or if they're 30 minutes long, I even cut it down shorter. Like 5 minutes is all I'm willing to handle and take. But an hour long, 45 minutes long, whatever it is, it's the first 5 minutes. I ask them, hey man, is everything okay? Follow up. And if they respond like, yeah, everything's cool, I'll be right there. And then 10 minutes go by and they don't show up. I'm like, hey man, honestly, if you're not here in the next 2 minutes, I'm going to close out the meeting. And by 15 minutes, I close it out. And if it's their first time that they've rescheduled, I'd let them reschedule if they're willing to, but I let them understand, like, hey, I only let reschedule once and never again. There's a standard they have to have. They don't have respect for your time. If this is how they're treating a business meeting they're willing to invest in, at the end of the day, like, trust me when I tell you, if they don't even have the respect for your time, they're not going to give you money anyway. And so what I'm telling you here, Blaze, for a guy like that who's so like wishy-washy, showing up with a bunch of loud noises, saying he's going to be there 1 second, this and that, and he's just like letting you kind of just slide by, like he doesn't care. He doesn't care. And so like if you're showing that you're willing to even entertain somebody like that and give them that time of day, then they're going to come in and walk all over you. I'm like, yeah, I mean, what is this again? Like, not at all. Like, that's just not something I'm willing to, not at all. There's no respect. They're looking at you as if you're here and they're here. Like, almost as if it's like customer service, right? Where it's like, you serve me. And at the end of the day, it's not what we do here. So the biggest thing I can tell you guys, if you haven't read this book, it's called Pitch Anything by Oren Klaff. It's honestly, like, it's the best book that you can read to understand what frame control is. And so when you're coming into these conversations, the biggest thing you need to understand is like, yes, you're taking this money from this person and you probably need their money by all means, but you are the authority figure. If you label them as them there being the authority figure and giving them the control, they're going to control the conversation and you're at their will. They need to be at your will. So when you're on these sales calls, you need to think of yourself as an actual sales rep at the end of the day. Because in sales, the authority figure, the person who's running the call, the one who's in control, controls the conversation. And that's in sales settings and in social settings. It's in life and in sales. And so who you are off of your sales calls is who you are on your sales calls. It's one of the biggest things to remember. And if you have that perspective going into this, like I'm telling you this, Blaze, and for you in particular, like if you think in person, I'll just use an example. Like if someone is going on a date with you, right? They're going on a date with you, for example, and they show up 15, 20 minutes late and you're just sitting around, I'll be there, yeah, I'm right around the corner. Like, are you going to tolerate that? Probably not. Maybe the first time, right? You might give them one chance, but if they do it again, you're like, right, this is not even worth my time. Like, whatever, like, get out of here. Like, it's cool, right? There's a self-respect you have there. So why are you going to treat it any differently on a sales call, right? It's a transactional relationship, just like anything else. Most relationships are transactional anyway. And so the way, especially sales calls, they're transactional relationships. You're paying 10K, 15K, 20K for your service, right? And because of that, you build this relationship where like you're going to actually service them and do this for them, and they're going to, on their side, you know, you're going to basically take their money and they'll be your client. That's it. So like, that's the way you want to look at it. Is a dichotomy of like dating and dichotomy of sales calls are very, very similar. If you picture it that way, the same way you have a conversation on a date, the same way that you have values and makes decisions, like all of that stuff is very, very similar. Like dating and sales are so damn similar. And so it's this level of self-respect you need to have for yourself, Blaze. And so like, by all means, like, no, this guy's not worth your time. Like, don't ever let somebody come in and waste your time that way by any means. Like, even if you are available and you need the money, like no matter what, I would rather lose the sale than lose the frame. Because if you lose the frame, you lose the sale. Like, you're not going to win. It's impossible. And so we'll go over more about frame control and what that is. I think a lot of people struggle with that anyway, but we can discuss that for sure. I'm going to go back to the Blaze. Does that answer your question though? Does that help you?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, JJ.
Yep. Muhammad, we answered your question there as well. Great stuff. And then for gatekeepers, who asked? That was you, Philip. So for gatekeepers, my best advice to you here, I'll share probably like, there's an old video I have. I'll get it to you towards the end of the call. Just remind me to send it to you. The best thing you can do here, right, with gatekeepers is win them over. Because at the end of the day, like no matter what, you can't, like you're essentially selling them on selling you to the offer owner, to the business owner, to whatever it is, whoever you're trying to talk to. But you need to sell your way through to the next person. And so the best way you can do this is by, again, what I said before, by putting it in their best interest, right? People will do what's in their best interest every single time. Every single time. So right now, all you guys who are here, you think it's in your best interest to be here because you want to learn sales, to get better at sales, to make more money, right? It's in your best interest to be here. Or you could be doing anything else. And that's what humans do. We all, like, if they don't buy from you, it's because it's not in their best interest. If they're like, you know what, I'm gonna try on my own, or I'm gonna think about it. It's in their best interest to leave the call. Versus being like, yeah, you know, I'm going to commit to this. They're going to commit to whatever's in their best interest. And so for these gatekeepers, how you frame it to be in their best interest is almost like just acting like you know them, but then also understand, like, if you give them some type of authority, something, because a lot of times when you talk to a gatekeeper, someone who's at the front desk, someone who's not the offer, not the business owner, they don't feel important. And so number one, if you call them, and this is the only time I'd ever tell you guys to have like higher energy ever, is on like a cold call. And so when I'm calling Philip, for example, like, hey, Philip? I'm like, yeah, who's this? Like, Philip, what's going on? It's JJ. How you doing, man? And then you're like, JJ? Do I know JJ? Who's JJ? I'm like, JJ, what's up, dude? I don't think I remember you calling. What's up? Who is this again? Like, don't worry, it's my first time calling. And then you go into your pitch. I mean, again, I don't know what your pitch is here. But like at Gym Launch, for example, I was a setter for like 2 weeks before I got moved up. And like we used to pitch a podcast. And so we would pitch them to like hop on a podcast and almost go into like, hey, it's my first time calling. Have you been on a podcast before? Or like, I'm looking for, you know, if this, for example, it wasn't Philip, you know, say that you're the gatekeeper and we're looking for Philip, I'm sorry. And so the Philip is the offer owner. And like, oh, well, it's actually Carrie, but what's going on? How you doing? I'm like, cool, Carrie, what's going on? Have you been on a podcast before? So we'd almost just ask them as if they are the offer owner, right? And then be like, podcast? No, I've never done that before. Well, it's okay, cool. We're actually calling for Philip to put him on a podcast. But I'm just curious, like, do you have your hand in on like any of the marketing? Like, we almost assume they have authority. And like, no, like, because like, they want to have that, but they don't. Like, you know, someone who's working at a front desk, they want to like work their way up typically, or just, especially at gyms, right? At least at gyms. And depending on the businesses you're calling, of course, Philip, I don't know what your niche is or what you're doing, but like it's going to dictate depending on who you're calling. But when you call them, like, oh yeah, like, no, I don't, but da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, awesome. Okay, well, cool. It's Philip around here. So like you had a little bit of a conversation, you made them feel pretty good about themselves. And they're like, well, let me see if he's around, right? And if he's not, the best thing you can do, I can tell you this right now, is like push for an email. By all means, at least get something, or his phone number. Okay, cool, when is he back around? Can you give me his number so I can reach back out again? Or like push for his email, right? Whatever it is, to get something. You need to get some type of substance. You can't just like leave with nothing. And then, okay, when should I call you back? Just to make sure like Philip's around. You said 12 p.m.? Like, yeah, 12. Okay, cool. And then they call back again, right? They're expecting you, right? Or they're expecting Philip, whatever it may be. Like, they're going to be able to push you on as if it's in their best interest, or it's the best thing for them to do. Because again, they actually like you. They make you feel like it's like, so, you don't want to be their friend, but remind them of a friend. That's the best way you can do. If you can remind them of a friend and make them feel like, oh wow, like that felt familiar. That felt good. Then you're going to stand out because everybody else is calling, hey, I got a billing issue, or hey, I got this issue, or they're all calling about problems. You're the first person to call them and not come in here and just be like, it's like you actually come in and show some type of different perspective or a different persona. That's number one. Now, who are you calling specifically, Philip? So maybe I can help you a little bit more with like your niche in particular.
It's contractors.
Contractor. Okay, so now you're calling, most of the time, yeah. I would assume it's like, tell me this, is it 50-50? Like it's like the business owner calling and then the other half is like an assistant, I'm assuming?
Honestly, 90% of the time it's gatekeepers.
So when you say contractors, you mean like the construction contractors?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And so it's not a private practice. It's like a big corporate construction company, as you're saying here.
Well, it's kind of 50-50. Sometimes it's private companies with only a few employees, and sometimes it's bigger companies.
Okay, so then break down to me your approach right here, right now. Like, so let's say like you were calling me. Like, tell me how you would do it.
So hi, this is Philip from Mad Verdi. I was hoping to speak to the owner relating in regards to something we help general contractors in the area with. It would only take 60 seconds to see if what we do is relevant to you and can help your company.
Okay.
Is that possible?
Yeah. So number one, when you're calling, do you not have the name of the business owner when you call?
I can look it up, but to save time, I usually just ask for the owner there.
Okay. I can tell you, if you ask for the offer owner's name, you'll win more, by all means, because it sounds like you're supposed to be there and you're calling the right person. Okay. Right. Number two is the energy of when you're, of course, I'm sure your energy is different when you're dialing, by all means. But when you're doing this, right, so like when you're calling it, number one, it's like the way you position it here is like, hey, I was hoping to speak to the business owner to talk about blah, 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 and it only takes 60 seconds, right? It's like a desperation thing out of like, hey, it's only takes 60 seconds, right? Where it's like, hey, it'll be quick. I know I can get it in and out. And you're going to sound like everybody else. Like a lot of people say that as well, where it's like, oh, like, hey, it's only going to take this much time, or it's going to be super quick, or like, hey, like even there was another approach last year everybody was doing where it was like, this is a cold call, like you can hang up now. And it's like, they literally like let them know it's a cold call, which is not a bad approach. I'm not saying it's a bad approach by any means, but the biggest thing I can tell you, right, it's like, just like anything else, right, people judge each other. So like everybody here is making judgments of myself when they first meet me. Everybody's making judgments of each other when they're first here, when they turn on their cameras. Everybody's judging each other. And so when you're calling somebody and they see like, oh, hey man, they're talking really quick and they're going to need 6 seconds. I mean, again, Philip, I'm not saying this is you in particular, but because everybody who does cold calls, and you're saying all these things about like how it'll be quick and how this and that, blah, 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 blah. They're going to just assume that you're just like any other sales rep. And they're going to treat you like every other sales rep. You have to come in different, which is the biggest thing you can do. When you come across as one, either a little more authentic, right? And authenticity is tough in sales, right? Because at the end of the day, when you're coming in and you're trying to sell something, it always just seems like it's in your best interest. And it's like, how can you authentically sell something that's going to make you benefit and not them benefit? And they're going to assume that you're just there for the money and just for the sale and not actually there to actually help them. They make those judgments right in the beginning. But when you're calling and you're not just jumping right into the sale and jumping right into that, and you're just like, that's why it's very important to have the offer owner's name. So if I'm calling Muhammad, I'm like, hey, Muhammad? And I'm like, hey, what's going on? Who's this? I'm like, hey, what's going on? Muhammad's JJ. How you doing, man? You can hear the smile. You can hear that. You can feel the energy. And it feels a little more authentic. It feels more fun. So now what you want to think about cold calls is like honestly, I used to say 30 seconds, but it gets shorter and shorter and shorter. Like every 5-10 seconds that you speak, you're either winning or losing time going forward. That's the way you want to perceive it. And so if I'll even tell you, Philip, send me your framework. If you have like a document with your framework, I'll just revamp it and I'll just send it back to you on like what I would do. I'll make a copy, I'll make a copy of yours so that way you just have like my version and your version. And that way you can test it going into this week. And then if you have like a call recording or something, one day we can just bring it here and review it. That's one of the biggest things we can do. But I promise you, like, you're going to lose people so fast in those first 5-10 seconds of a cold call. And then my second 20, they're either like, do I care or do I not care? And is this worth my time or is it not worth my time? And they might not just hang up immediately. They might just be like, oh, like, this is kind of cool here, I guess. Or they're just like doing other work while they're listening. Yeah, whatever. And they just tell you what you want to hear. They're not actually invested. Like they need to actually care about what you're talking about for it to even make sense. Because like no matter what, you can get these people to listen to you and stay on the phone. That's fine. But are they actually invested in caring in what you're saying? And actually like, okay, this is actually valuable information. This is actually worth my time. Like, let me do this. And so when they come to the sales call, are they actually considering to spend money with you or not? That's what you understand. It's like when you think about cold calls, it's like calling somebody or like just walking down the street. Like, we all think about like door knocking, and like going door to door is pretty sucky, right? But like at the end of the day, cold calling is not as easy either. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Cold calling is probably one of the toughest parts of remote sales, or just the agency space in general. But when you're doing that in any kind of remote role, like you have to understand, like, number one, everybody does it, and you need to sound different. Like, that is the most important thing. You can't sound like everybody else. If you smell like, even on your sales call, you smell like a sales rep, they're gonna treat you like a sales rep. But if you sound and smell like someone else, they're like, damn, okay, like this guy's a little different. This guy feels different. Like, I actually like the way this guy, and they actually give you the actual information you do need. They're actually more vulnerable. Because if they just know you're a sales guy, I mean, it's cool that they know that, and it's obvious sometimes too that you're a sales guy. But most people like to be sold to. They just don't want to know they're being sold to. That's it. It should feel like a conversation. So with these cold calls, like, if you frame it in their best interest and you sound different, I promise you, like, those two fundamental things alone, like, it doesn't matter about the tactic, the skill, the this, the that. Like, it's more or less about like how they're perceiving you on that call. That's the biggest thing that you will take away from this call today is, like, Philip, for you, like, the perception you will get on that call. Like, do I sound like a sales rep, or do I sound like somebody who actually cares about their business here? And if I sound different, how can I frame this in their best interest? And so if I see more of your framework, I don't want to spend the whole entire time just going over the cold call approach. But if I see your framework, I can tell you exactly where you're losing them. And if you have a call recording, I could even show you, just like right here, you're losing it. If you have one right now, we can look at it right now, actually. But if you don't, okay, totally fine. But we'll go from there.
Okay, thank you.
Great stuff, Philip. How to get high energy on a cold call. That's a good question. So, like, one of the biggest things is I don't want you to ever fake your energy. Like, the biggest thing is, like, whenever I use my voice to prompt energy or to show that I have energy, I'm not, like, actually being energetic, if that makes sense. Like, I'm just, like, I used to be very, like, high energy, like, what's up, guys, very, like, cool, funny, whatever, like, easygoing guy. Like, now it's very neutral, very, very neutral, but I use my voice to make it sound like I have energy. So if I'm like, hey, you bade? What's going on, man? It's Gigi here. How you doing? Like, it's just tonality. The tonality is what's actually making it feel like there's emotion and actual energy, but it's just my voice, right? And so it's like, what you can do, I mean, again, if you guys are starting to, like, really get into cold calling and really learn this, I would rather you exaggerate the energy and be like, Brian, what's going on, man? How you doing? Like, use your body language, like, over-exaggerate. It's fine. Because at the end of the day, it's better to be higher than lower on a cold call. Because if I call him like, hey, this is JJ with, CPC marketing. I'm just calling to, like, you're just going to think you're like a debt collector or something. Like, oh, this is a scam. That's it. That's where they're going to perceive you. But if you come in with a little bit of a higher energy, you sound different, you smell different. Like, oh, wow, okay, like, I like the way this guy feels. I like the way, this is cool. This is enjoyable. But now, again, as we start to progress, guys, I'll talk to you guys about, like, you guys would not even understand what I'm talking about when it comes to, like, personality recognition and understanding, like, everybody has a different terms, like, different type of energy inside of them that they do resonate with. Like, everybody here, it's called the PACE method. It's something that I've got from Ty Lopez and Dr. David Buss, but kind of revamped it on our own, where it's like practical energy, action-based energy, social-based energy, and emotional-based energy. And everybody here has their own dominant energies that resonate with them a little bit more. And some of you guys are a little more practical, some of you guys are a little more action-based, right? Like, think about practical, like Elon Musk. Action-based, Andy Elliott. Social-based, think about, like, that one friend or guy who's just, like, friends with everybody. The nerds, maybe it's you, right? We're just, like, you're friends with the nerds, the cool guys, the fitness guys, the girls. And then emotional is more like females, where they're just, like, very soft, airy, like, or like even like a softer guy, like guys who are, like, a little more, like, feminine, if you will. Not that it's a bad thing by any means, but, like, everybody has their own dominant energies. And so that's what you guys will start to learn as you start to get really deep in this, that you're like, okay, like, how can I resonate and have the versatility to resonate with everybody? That's the biggest thing. And that's, like, where you get to, like, a more neutral energy, where it's like, okay, cool, like, this guy's just always, like, an authority figure. Awesome. Which is what you really need to be. You just need to be in control during sales conversations. Like, no matter how you do it and how you position it, you just need to be the authority. Like, the one in control, the one asking the questions is usually the one in control. And so, like, that's what I will teach you guys, is how to maintain control throughout, like, the set call, throughout the actual sales call, and then so on and so forth. Even as, like, an actual agency owner, like, what's appropriate and, like, what's okay, what's not okay. They should not be calling you at 11 p.m. or midnight to help you fix something. Like, it's there's just a bunch of different things that you guys have to have standards for. But we'll discuss that. So But awesome. Okay, now that I understand what you guys are kind of struggling with, I think I can get a consensus. I mean, I'm sure people have other things you're struggling with. Again, if you have anything else that you're struggling with, even if you want to DM me privately, like you don't want to show to everybody what you're struggling with, feel free to DM me. It's okay. I can keep that anonymous with you guys. But at the end of the day, like this call is to help you guys get better. Because I want you guys to be honest. Like, tell me the truth. Like, tell me what you're struggling with. What's top of mind, and then we can progress from there. But does anybody else have any questions? We'll go Q&A now. Now we're at the 30-minute mark. Is there any questions from anybody that they want to talk about specifically about their agency, about sales? Let's try to keep it sales focused within the agency. Again, I know like I don't want you guys to think that like I'm coming here and trying to teach you guys remote sales or anything, but like sales about your agency, right? Like that's what I want to talk about. So if it's not sales related, I'm not saying I won't answer it, but I know there's other calls that you guys can go to actually get those questions answered. So I just want to make sure, like, if you guys are coming here, we're keeping it tactical about sales. So I'm absolutely struggling with cold calls. I do much kind of things, cold showers, early runs, but I can't get myself to call an owner. Oliver, good question. Okay, yeah. Now this is also where like. We're gonna get deep, guys. This is gonna be a good one. So a lot of the fears or limiting beliefs we do have, and so like you're talking about cold showers, early runs, a lot of this stuff is on the external, right? It's discomforting, it's uncomfortable, but like a cold shower is something you're physically feeling on your body. Running is something you're doing physically. Like, I mean, you're pushing yourself. I ran a marathon with Iman. Trust me, I know. You're pushing yourself mentally. Trust me, it's tough. It is more of a mental battle than anything, but it's still physical, right? Like a lot of these things, like, so for example, like getting over a mental barrier is internal. It's something you have to address within yourself. And so like, now granted, it's like the fear, and when we have fear of something, right, there's a limiting belief typically that usually happens, and we usually have a limiting belief within inside of us, or it could be something that could be so rooted in us from when we were even younger that we don't even realize that it's impacting us now. And so granted, like it could have been rejection from like a girl in like, I kid you not, like middle school, but like maybe it like fucked you up the way she said or the way she did it or what she did, or you try to call somebody, ask them on a date, and like that messed you up. You never addressed that. Like little things like that will hold you down, and you'll correlate that feeling from that day to something similar, which is why, again, when I tell you guys you smell like every other sales rep, and they know that you smell like every other sales rep, had one bad experience with the one sales rep, they will treat you like every other sales rep. It's ridiculous. Like they will every single time. They will treat you the same. Just because of that similar feeling, that smell, where it's like, oh, this is just like every other fucking sales guy. He's gonna treat me like anybody else. So that's the biggest thing I can tell you here. It's like, this is gonna come from the internal side. So what I'll ask you, Oliver, and you can either speak out loud or you can text me in the chat, it doesn't matter. But are you afraid of rejection? Are you afraid of sounding stupid? Or do you not feel prepared enough to do these dials? That's the only three things that could be in between you. And then we'll continue from there. You bait, if we have enough time, we can do that. I don't feel prepared enough. Okay. Now, Oliver, do you not feel prepared enough because you don't know what to do and how to do it? Like, do you not have a process in place? Right? Because at the end of the day, like, when you don't feel prepared, it's lack of preparation. I will tell you that right now. Like, I've never been on a sales call. And like, so from when I started with Iman, for example, I had done enough sales calls and had a bunch of experiences to be like, I won't lose. Like if I put anybody in front of me, I'm going to close any deal I have. And so now I never feel unprepared. The only time I ever felt unprepared was like when I had my agency and I didn't know how to sell. I didn't ever go into a sales program. I didn't learn sales properly. I literally used to, and guys never do this, by the way. I used to literally call other companies who are my competitors and have them try to sell me, write down their questions, and be like, okay, cool, maybe I can tell you this, maybe I can say that. That actually makes sense. I understand why they said that. Why the fuck would he ask me this question? What does this mean? And then I was like, all right, cool, how did they sell me? And I built my process around that, right, to make myself feel more prepared, right? And so for you, Oliver, like, there is no such thing as a perfect time, and that's right. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be hard. But what would make you feel more prepared, right? That's one question you need to ask yourself. And then why don't you feel prepared? And those are two different questions, to be honest. It really is. It sounds like they're similar, but they're very different. So I'm asking you in particular, Oliver, like, why don't you feel prepared enough, right? And then what do you feel like would make you feel prepared? Borja, I think that's your name. While Oliver's typing, go ahead, ask your question.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Amazing. How are you?
All good. So I have two questions. One of them is like mainly through the sales process. So my niche is like home automation, and I do cold callings. I do like 100 to 150 dials a day. I can initially get like 2 to 5 meetings, but I struggle, like, the no-shows are fucking insane, man. Like, out of 5 people, 4 of them might just, like, no-show. So
Wow.
I've incorporated a couple, like, things to that. So I do have a follow-up automation. So I send them reminders 24 hours, 3 hours, and 5 minutes before the goal. I have an email, then I send them with a video, like setting the frame of the goal, giving them a couple of tips for free. And I do give them a heads up when they book the goal that, like, hey, you can't take the goal while you're driving. Like, you have to be, like, in a calm place where you can, like, take notes, whatever. Mm-hmm. And if you do a no-show, then you're added to a blacklist and you can't schedule another goal. And I still get, like, high as fuck no-shows.
Wow.
So what's your, like, advice on that?
Yeah, well, I mean, you're doing a lot of the right things. I can tell you, and it's something that I've tested across multiple companies doing millions of dollars per month. And so, like, Daniel Isles at Viral Coach, Ashton Hall, like Rosalind Ben, I can never pronounce his name, dude, and I've worked with this guy for almost 6 months now. But all these, I've tested with all of them. Automations for just reminders sometimes can hurt you. That's one of the biggest things I can tell you. So too many reminders will hurt. You want to have more of a genuine conversation, and that sounds crazy to say, but, like, even at Iman's, like, one of the biggest things that, like, they gave me shit for initially, but then ended up, like, supporting me for was that I had conversations with leads to nurture them to come to the calls. And I kid you not, like, my show rate was damn near 100%, and my close rate was probably above 60 or 70 at that point. Like, it was just ridiculous. But it's because I would nurture them actually. And so, like, if anybody, like, I mean, there's probably some students inside the program still who were closed by me. And, like, I kid you not, I had messages where it's like, hey man, just want to get some context on what you're looking for. And some of these are inbound for sure, but we also had setters at one point who would dial them in. But I would also always have that conversation, right? And so it's like, if you put them in a text chat, for example, with you, Borja, where you guys have a conversation, and you guys can chat about certain things that they want to discuss on the call, where their biggest concerns are. And then, like, it's not about, because you can set the frame or, like, the expectation of the call and what you need from them. But at the end of the day, it's still, like, there's no attachment. Like, just like on the sales calls, there's no reason, like, they can click the hang up button at any time they want to on that call. The only reason why they're there is because of you. And so if they don't feel like they're entitled to be there, or that they need to be there, obligated to be there because of you, then they're not going to come anyway. And so if there's not much of a care or much of, like, a reason for them to be there, they won't. It's going to do what's in their best interest. And so it's in their best interest to not show up. They're going to do more work. They're going to do other things. And so, like, when you nurture them here, it sounds a little, like, manual. I know it's not automated, but, like, have a conversation. Hey man, just want to get more context. So, like, I know you said on the call this was an issue, but why is that an issue, right? Chat with them for that. And then send voice messages, do that. And then send, like, your VSL, whatever that is. If you have a VSL, I don't know if it's just a pre-call video or if you have a VSL, but send your VSL, send your pre-call message, and then do that. And then it's nurtured. So then it almost just feels like you're already a friend. Not, again, guys, I don't want you to misconception, right? I don't want you to think you have to be like Mr. Nice Guy, but, like, it feels familiar. Like, it feels, like, the best way, instead of friend, think familiar. It feels familiar. They feel like, okay, cool. I can talk to this guy. Like, he's actually willing to help me here. He's already giving me some value. This is great. And then when they hop on that call, like, that frame and standard and environment that you've created is already there. It's already in their best interest to do that because they've already invested some time talking to you and doing that stuff already. Like, too often we just look for, like, the quickest, most efficient thing. And sometimes efficiency might work. I mean, granted, don't get me wrong, you can't do this long term. I'm going to tell you that right now, Borja. But you'll have a closer who will then do it for you. And then they will build up that process. And then the closers, eventually, when you start to scale teams, the setters will do it for the closers. And so, like, that's what will start to happen. But I promise you, if you do a little bit more to stand out and win that conversation, again, because you're booking 5 calls, like, if you just have automations, by all means, and you notice, like, you can't do the same thing and expect a different result. I will tell you that right now. That's impossible. That's the definition of insanity. It just won't work. But, like, at this point, if you change your approach and you're just a little bit more hands-on with it, and then you go in with a little bit of value, right? I mean, it doesn't have to be value, but just more or less, like, in their best interest. So again, getting context because the way you guys have to understand this, right? In sales, they don't need to understand you. They need to feel understood. And they feel like you understand their scenario better than they do. They're willing to give you money because of that, because you can resolve their problems. That's exactly how it works. You help them figure out the pain and goals they don't realize that they have. And when you can do that properly and do it correctly, then at that point, they're, okay, cool. Like, this is worth 5K, 10K. Like, that, it's value perception. They're going to make the decision based on emotion, not based on logic. And so it's based on how they feel, not what they're thinking. And so you make that feeling, that feel of like, this is the best decision for me to do, that best interest, by creating that environment. And so Borja, what I tell you here is like, get away from the automations and just actually text them, like actually have a conversation. And I know it might sound like a lot to do, I understand that, but at the end of the day, it's like, what are you willing to do to get the deal at that point? At least for now. Because I promise you, like, trust me, people would see like my calendar with 10 calls on the calendar, like, no, there's no way you're having conversations. I would have conversations with everybody from like Monday who's booked out till Wednesday. I would have conversations with all of them, but I just wanted it more than everybody else. And that's it. That's why I would win. And so it's like, there's a standard you set for yourself. And I'm not saying you're not willing to do this, but I'm saying set a new standard for yourself. Where like, all right, I'm going to text them. I'm going to build more of like a value approach for when I nurture them. And then at that point, when we get to the call, boom, we just pick up a conversation from there. It's like cold call to text. Like, hey man, just let me know when you get my text. Did you get this text? Just respond back for me. Cool, awesome. I'm gonna send you some questions here shortly, man, because I want to understand your business a little bit more. Like, you need to keep that emotion high. At the end of the day, let's say the call is 2 days out, 1 day out, 3 days out, and they're a busy business owner, they're gonna forget about it. I promise. Even if they see the automations. I remember we had automations over at Bower Coach, and the guy was like, I saw your fucking 5th text message. Yeah, I know. Like, yeah, I will be there. Sure. Like, that's what they're going to do. And so like, get away from the automations, just like everybody else, go to nurturing. And from there, I promise you, it'll make a bigger difference. And then at that point, send the VSL, send the pre-call message, and you'll see it'll be a massive impact. I can show you, I'll get you my little framework that I had for most of my closers, and we can go from there. But does that make sense for you?
Yeah.
Awesome.
So that's actually good stuff right there. I had another question.
Yeah, please.
So besides that, when it comes to my sales process, I do a 2-call close. Mm-hmm. So I'll do the intro call, asking the questions for 15 minutes. Then I'll go on to the demo call. I feel like, well, besides the no-shows, because that's like the whole fucking thing on itself, I feel like a lot of people that take the intro call, they fall off midways or they don't make it to the demo call. And I'm wondering, am I making my process too boring for them? Are they not seeing the value right there? Sometimes they might be hesitant to answer the questions. Really, from over 25 intro calls that I've taken, only 4 of them have made it to the demo.
And what are you doing on the intro calls?
So I'll be like, hey, I just gotta ask you a couple questions to see what we're working with, make sure that we can help you. Mm-hmm. And usually, like, I'll be like, hey, by the end of this, if I think that we're a good fit, we'll just schedule like a longer call, or I'll show you the system. Okay. And so you're just doing a discovery? Yeah. Got it. And so at the end, they say they feel like they lose interest or they don't book that second call? Yeah, so more like 90% of the times, if they lose interest, like they'll fall sometime in between. Or like if I feel this, it happens sometimes too, where like I feel like, hey, like this guy's just wasting my fucking time, whatever. So I'll just like politely get off the call. I'll say I won't just get off the call like that, but whatever. Or we'll finish, everything is good, but then like they'll just give me long answers to book another call. They'll be like, oh, I can't find the time. Oh, the other owner is busy, blah blah blah. Yeah. The best way I can explain this, Borja, is kind of what I've said throughout this entire call. It's like they're going to do what's in their best interest. And so at the end of that conversation, like without reviewing your call, I can promise you, it's like you're losing them in that discovery. That's the only thing that is happening here. It's like the questions didn't feel strong enough for them to be like, okay, this guy, because think about it like this, guys. I know like all these closers and all these people and all these sales guys and agency owners, like they think they need to be the expert at the agency stuff. You need to be expert at sales. Like it's actually sales. The way you look like an expert is the questions you're asking. The questions you're asking is what dictates the perception. And so like I will learn more about you with the questions you ask me versus anything that you tell me. That's the way I will learn more about you, right? And so how well you understand me and my situation is based on the questions you ask me. And so like, for example, if you ended up going to like a dating coach, right? All right, let's get away from dating. I'll say something else. Let's say you went to like a finance coach and they started asking you questions that you saw on like Instagram Reels. Like, do you know how to manage your money? And they ask you another question like, okay, and like,
do you invest in Forex? And they started asking just like the randomest, most basic questions. At the end of that conversation, even though you came in with confidence that you needed to do something like this, you might be like, this guy doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. He's asking me the dumbest questions I've ever seen. This is just a script. He's not even listening to me. I'm saying a bunch of different things. He doesn't even care what I'm saying. He's just following the script. You're like, yeah, you know what, man, I'm gonna go see someone else. Versus somebody else is like, okay, cool, man. Like, so what's going on? What are you doing now? What are you investing in? And they're like, okay, why'd you decide to invest in that? And they'll be like, well, I mean, I thought that was the best idea to do. And then it's like, and the results so far? And then they try to, say you pull up your numbers, and they're like, you don't know your numbers? You don't have your numbers? And then now they're getting really deep with you. And it's okay, cool, well, give me an estimate. And then they're like, this much, this much. I'm like, okay. And that's not a concern for you? And then now you start to realize, okay, cool, like, wow, holy cow, like this is something I've never even thought of. That might be a concern. I don't know my numbers. I'm making this much, and I didn't even think it was a concern. But like now it's reframing your brain to think of it in a different perspective. And then it's like, holy cow, like I need to make a change here. But it's just by the questions they're asking. The guy could have way more experience on the other company, but the corporate company tells you to read a script and do it this way, and then you're just a number. But this guy actually cares. You're gonna go with the guy who makes you feel better. And so I can tell you now, without even seeing the call, it's like you're just not making it feel like it's in their best interest based off the questions that you're asking. So I don't know if you're following a script or a framework or what you're doing. I'm not telling you to get off of a script by any means. Like you can stay on script and learn your framework and get really confident there, but really listen to what they're saying. Like that's the biggest thing. Like people will give you all the answers you need. They will let you sell them. They'll give you all the ammunition. It just comes down to the questions you're asking. The questions you're asking dictate everything else. That's the most important thing. So understand that. Boys, if you want to send me a call or something, we can probably review one on here if you have it. But I can tell you exactly where you're losing them as well. See, but I just don't have enough context to be able to do that without seeing it. So, good question though.
Gotcha. I can send you my discovery script. The questions that I ask are usually very straightforward. I also don't ask that many questions.
Okay.
But yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Like there's no other explanation because losing that many people, having so many no-shows. Yeah, I know there's something within that process.
Yeah, for sure. But,
yeah, how can I send you the script, Instagram, DM?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Send it through there if you want to send the DMs here. If you guys just click on my name here, I just say, click on my name. You should be able to send me a DM. That's for you, Oliver, too. Just send me a DM there. But yeah, you can send it to me here. If you want to send it on Instagram, it doesn't matter. That's fine.
Yeah, I did.
Awesome.
I'm guessing that I'm on my phone right now, so I can't
no worries.
We'll do it. I'll find you on Instagram, bro.
Awesome. I'll see you soon. Blaze, I'm going to answer Oliver's question first before we go over to you, Blaze. That's okay, just because I told him how to answer it after. And so, you have a shit, but I can't really speak freely. There's moments where I didn't know what to say. Yeah, so Oliver, even just reading the messages here, I mean, you sound like most people struggle with. They're afraid to say the wrong thing. They don't know what to say, right? But now what's happening is you're probably so focused on so many other things during that call that you can't even actually be you. And so the best thing I can tell you guys when you're cold calling, if you have a framework or a script in front of you, have it in front of you. Be able to look at it. That's okay. It's okay to. I started with a framework at Iman's. I did. I would follow a specific framework to go from here to here to here to here. And I'd follow the flow, and it worked for me. But then eventually I learned and realized that if I kept doing this, I'm always going to stay stuck at this percentage. I had to change something. And so I had more of an open conversation. I was more honest. I was more transparent. I was more direct, right? And I also questioned what they were saying. Because people, too often, they'll be like, oh, yeah, we're doing this, and this, blah, 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 blah. That makes sense. And they move on. And it's well, it doesn't make sense. Hold on. What do you mean you haven't tried anything for the last 6 months, but now you're coming to speak to us now? Why are we talking now? Right? I wouldn't say, what do you mean? But of course, I'd be okay, well, why are we talking now, not 6 months ago? Right? So you start to question what they're saying. So you can't be afraid that you're going to sound dumb or you're not going to know what to say. Because at the end of the day, Oliver, if you had a conversation at the store, at the club, with a girl, I'm just giving random examples of social settings, but maybe you don't go to the club, fine, but whatever. When you're having conversations with your family, you don't have a script. You don't. You're present. You're listening. But granted, if you're not able to sit there and listen to them, it just means you just don't care. And so if you're sitting there, even though you're an introvert, introverts, ironically, are actually better at sales than extroverts. I don't need you to have high energy. The high energy guys, yes, for the cold call, it's the only time I'll tell you have higher energy, but you need to be neutral. Here. Very, very neutral, very, very consistent energy. That's what sells, because it feels very unbiased. They don't feel like you're on the sales side. You don't feel like they're on too much on their side unauthentically. It's just like right in the middle. There's this nice balance in between. And so like for you, like don't focus on just getting off of script. Have your framework, know what to say, but then when somebody says something that doesn't make sense, you question it. Right? So if I said, oh yeah, you know, it's been really tough, man. I've just been going through the ringer the last 3 weeks, so I'm just trying to find another company to work with. And then you say, oh, okay, cool, awesome. Then you move on. Versus being like, oh, well, Philip, what do you mean when you say the ringer? Like, what does that even mean? And then it could be like, oh yeah, it's just, you know, I've been, you know, struggling with blah, 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 blah. And they're going to tell you exactly what that is. Now we get more specific. We get more, oh, okay, got it. Because the ringer can mean anything. Like, we just don't know what it is. It can mean absolutely anything. Then once you hear it, you move on. Okay, got it. This is that. Boom. And then from there, it's like for you, Oliver, in your case, like don't be so focused on being great right away. Like you have to allow yourself to be bad. Like understand that this is just part of the journey to be able to get really good eventually. Like you have to suck for a little bit to then get good. But a lot of us will compare us to like the best in the space or the guys we see on Instagram. And I'm not good enough because this person's doing this or that person's doing that. Like, dude, it's okay to not be the best right out of the gate. Like, it's fine. Like, no one expects you to be the best. This is all part of the journey. You have to go through this to eventually become the best. So cruise through it. It'll be fine. You'll do fine. But this is just a stage where you need to learn. That's it. I promise you, man. It'll get easier as time goes on.